Everybody, it's the bald man once again. We're going to go over the practice FRQ. All right, so let's start off, right? Assume the U.S. economy is in a recession. Draw a correctly labeled graph of the aggregate demand, short-run aggregate supply, and long-run aggregate supply curves showing the following current price level labeled PL1 and current output labeled Y1. It didn't tell me what to label the output, so I'm good to go on that. Oh, sorry. Let me activate the pen. Here we go. Alright, so your graph should look like this to start off with, right? And B says, assume the U.S. has an actual unemployment rate of 7% and an inflation rate of 8%, the natural rate of unemployment is 5. Using the numerical values above, draw a correctly labeled graph of the long run and short run Phillips curve. Label the short run equilibrium point as B. Plot the numerical values on the above on the graph. Alright, so Phillips curve graph. Right, we're supposed to label this point as B, and the unemployment rate right now is currently at 7%. The inflation rate is at 8%, and the natural rate of unemployment is 5%. All done neatly on the graph. Remember, they give you numbers, use those numbers because that's what they're giving them to you for. All right, C. Policymakers pursue a fiscal policy option. Assume the marginal propensity to consume is 0.8 and the value of a recessionary gap is $200 billion. If the government decides to change its spending without adjusting taxes to eliminate the recessionary gap, calculate the minimum required change in government spending. All right, so we can do that, right? So they said that the MPC, I forgot about that. Let me see. MPC is 0.8. So it means my MPS is going to be 1 over 0.2, and that is actually 1 over 1/5, which means my multiplier is 5. I have a gap of 200 billion. Divide that by 5. The answer is going to be increase spending by $40 billion. Right? That is the answer for C1. So C1, there we go. And C2 says if the government decides to change taxes instead of spending to eliminate the recessionary gap, will the minimum required change in taxes be greater than, less than, or equal to the minimum change in government spending in Part C1? Explain. So in Part C1, we're told we're going to have to increase spending by $40 billion. And they're asking us if we change taxes instead, is it going to be the same, less, or more than 40 billion that they're going to have to reduce taxes by? And the answer is, well, let me make sure the specific question, right? Right, so the minimum required change is going to be greater than $40 billion because the spending multiplier is stronger than the tax multiplier. Next, D says, using a correctly drawn loanable funds market, show the effects of the government increase in spending from Part C on interest rates. All right, and that was Part D, so D. Sorry about that. That was fake news. And here we go. And that is what your graph should look like, and that is one of the correct answers for part D. Now, E says, show the effects of the increased government spending on aggregate demand, aggregate supply graph from part A, and show the necessary changes on that graph without consideration of crowding out. All right, so we don't have to worry about what the inflation, not the inflation, but the interest rate is going to do to aggregate demand. We're just going to draw what should happen here, and this will be the last answer we need to finish solving this particular FRQ. If you guys have any questions about anything I did, please drop a comment down below or send me a message on Remind.